You don't need a complex marketing strategy or 100,000 followers to make money with your online business using a personal brand. You just need to know exactly what to post. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you an extract from a mastermind that I hosted with 15 coaches where I gave them the secrets that I have from making hundreds of thousands of dollars with only a small audience on my social media. So if you stick around, you're gonna get loads of value from a mastermind that cost a lot of money to attend, and it's gonna give you the exact blueprint that you need to build an extremely profitable personal brand that will bring in loads and loads of warm leads for your business. So stick around, make it till the end of the video, and leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you found was the most useful bit of advice you got from this video, and I'll answer with more depth and also share some resources for you as well. Enjoy. I did organic lead generation and I did like outbounding. And oh my God, the difference when you sit on a sales call and someone goes, it feels like I've known you for 10 years, and they turn up and they're like, it's a 20-minute sales call and they tap their credit card, they're ready to go. Like, it is the most beautiful thing. There's obviously scale problems and unpredictability problems, but it is beautiful. And I have done the first 6 figures I did is all off complete organic content off 8,000 followers. So you don't need a big audience. And you don't need, and 4,000 of them are my friends I've used to play rugby with. So like, it's literally a small audience. But the biggest thing that I think I've nailed is this ICP. And the second thing is I've nailed, where am I gonna write it? Storytelling. So I've given people a reason to align with what I talk about and my whole story of being in the corporate and not being like that. So the first thing I want to start with is how to tell stories and how to go for your ICP, because I think the thing about the ICP is you are always going to leave money on the table. There are 8 billion people in the world. If you sign 5 clients, like you're doing well, right? 5, 10, 15 clients, you're doing well. So you're going to have to basically turn people away by saying the wrong things to them in order to bring the right people. And I specifically tell people, you imagine getting on the tube and all you can think about is waking up, getting on the tube and getting into the office and opening your laptop, and you just hate it. Not all of my clients, like Ben has never even experienced that before, but by being specific, people resonate with specific content. And so for example, when you mention you've got 3 ICP, the best thing we did with Ben is we just said, Ben, look, like there's loads of people who want to get into sales. Pick one, because there are 100,000 people of them in the world who are that specific one. Just pick one and roll with it. When you start scaling, you can start going to other avatars, but just focus on one because it plays through in your ads. Like just starting ads with these guys, like I know that my content, I know the person who's coming into that content, and you have to be so specific with your terminology. Otherwise, people are just like, oh, well, this doesn't really sound like it's me. So that works really well. The second is with a personal brand. So that's kind of ICP. I say to everyone, ICP is the first thing I think about whenever. And something that broke my brain is a guy called Ali Abdaal, who's a big YouTuber in the UK. He has an ICP document. He has 15,000 words in that ICP document. And that's how intense he goes about his ICP. He's making like a fairly big 7-figure a year YouTube channel, and he's got 15,000 words. So one of the biggest hacks that I've got for this is I just have a ChatGPT and I call him James, and James is my target avatar. And I talk to James daily. I ask him what content he likes. I ask him what he'd like in the community. Ask him what his worst thing that happened this morning is. And I make all my decisions through James. And that has helped so much. And like, it takes no time to set up. And if you ever see me walking down the road in Bali on my phone, it's probably because I'm talking to James, no one else. So that works really nicely. The second thing is a storyline, because the thing about personal brands is, I mean, even in this room, right? Like us 4, we're all doing the exact same thing. And the reason people would want to work with Bruno is the people who would want to work with Bruno are the people who would be like, I have no interest in working with Sol. The people who want to work with Rach and are the complete opposite of the people who want to work with Ben. And you need to know your story and why your story is unique, so you are able to deliver that so that people go, wow, I really resonate with Desi. I really resonate with them. Like, why are you the person they should work with? Because people work with people, right? People work with the human beings they want to work with. And I just got very clear on my story because I was trying to do content about like, I was just trying to do all this random content about you should do this, you should do this. And then I was like, actually, I'm just going to tell people what I've been through and what I've done. And I've had the weirdest thing said to me on sales calls. Some guy onboarded with me the other day because he said, I saw your training routine that you put on your story and I just vibe with your hybrid training routine. And I was like, that's ridiculous, right? But if you think about all the people you like online, it's probably not because of their value. It's probably because there's a few things you're like, man, like that person, I like that they do that. I think we all suffer from spotlight effect, where we think everyone cares about us. People need it literally smashed down their throats, like what you've done and what you've achieved. Like, for example, for me, it's obviously very important to talk about money because I'm a consultant who makes people money. So I have to talk about it. I hated it, but every time I put up my revenue figures, I book more calls. And for you, it's like every time if you constantly talk about what you've achieved, people just need reminding. And it might take times 7 when they get reminded, but they will. So in terms of a super tangible answer to that, I believe in 2 types. And maybe let's actually get into content to start off with. So I don't believe in the content funnel anymore, but what I do believe is there's 3 types of content and they're all specific for specific times. So the first one is we want share content. The second is we want teach. And the last is we want show. So the reason I funnel this is because these videos are going to get loads of views, but no one is going to buy off these videos. These videos are going to get middle and they help people understand. And these are the ones that actually convert people. And tangibly, I talk about doing this as a percentage, which is it depends what stage of business you're in. If you're growing, which I think a lot of people in this room are growing, I believe it's 60% and 40%. If you're in what I call a cutting stage, I think it's important more to focus on 60% here and 40% here. So if that looks like a week, I would say if you're putting out 20 bits of media, then you want to make sure that over 50%, 60% of them are you talking about you and your story. So because that's what people like, that's getting people through the door. I almost talk about it like if you're making loads of teach content, I'll go through these specifically what they are, but if your teach content is like value content, if you're making a load of value content, we want to get people who are currently like outside, chilling on a beach somewhere. We want to get them into the room and then we want to sell them. But the problem is a load of people try and stick a load of value content. So they're like, here are the specific twinges you can make to your ads. And they go and try and tell people out on the street. And people on the street are like, who the hell are you, mate? I have no interest who you are. So you have to get people to know who you are before you can start actually showing that they have value. It's like, the reason you're listening to me is because you've seen me before, right? Whereas if you hadn't seen me before, you'd be like, can this guy fuck off?
What would you define the difference between a growing phase and a cutting phase?
So I use it in a gym setting. Like you go through growth stages and you go through cutting stages. So in your business, you should be either trying to bring more eyeballs in or you should be looking to convert more eyeballs into paying customers. And I call a growth stage just getting more eyeballs in. So then you're going hard on like, who am I as a human being? What are my values? And then a cutting stage is like, I've got a load of people who like my values and know who I am. Let's convert them into paying customers. And a lot of people say you should do both at the same time. I think it's actually pretty hard to do both at the same time. And you need a team to do both at the same time, more importantly. And it's better to focus on one or the other.
One question. I understand everything. I have a little question. The difference between teach and show, for example, I'm starting to implement a lot of the whiteboards they also do with the funny hook.
Nice.
And now what's the difference? That's teaching, right?
Sure.
And now showing. What do you mean by that?
Sure. So very good prompt. I'll go through all 3 of these. So share, these are your values and these are like you as a human being. So someone should probably know what you do, but like they don't really know what you do here. It's more like, what do you have for breakfast? Are you a vegetarian? Like all that sort of thing. Share content is basically like you as a human, but teach content is basically you saying, what value do I have for you? How can I solve your problem? That's the only thing I think about is like, when you're making this content, you have your ICP, your specific human being, James in my case, and you're like, how can I make as many bits of content which solve his problem? And I make sure that every bit of teach content I make is like, James has one problem. At the end of this one video, he's gonna have that problem solved. And it's super niche. Like, it's like, I don't know, for sales content, it's like, you know, what is one place you can go and find an agency to go and work with? Or what's one place you can go and find an offer? Like super niche content, especially in short form. That is how we use teach content. And show content is, if we think about people coming down, they now know who we are to here. We then show them we've got value. And then the show content is we can show them that we can do what we say we can. As in, correct. Correct. So either social proof of yourself or social proof of other people. And it's like, because the thing is, a lot of people can solve problems, but a lot of people can't do it in reality. It's like how do you actually show that there are other people in the world that I can apply this content to and solve their problems.
So just on that.
Go.
So in the share content then, so you're not speaking to your ICP in that?
You are always speaking to your ICP, but in the lens of sharing your own life to them. So for example, like I share content to me is like, I could speak about where I'm moving in the world. That is interesting to my ICP because my ICP wants to live remotely. But share content like...
It's like expressing your values that they resonate with.
Exactly. Well, yeah, the values that you think are aligned to what they're interested in terms of your sphere. So, I don't know, breakfast is not an interest to my ICP, but like if I'm saying like, oh, I put a villa, like a photo of my villa in Bali, like my ICP is probably sat in his corporate job in London going, oh, that could be quite fun. That could be quite good. So, you know, I'm not saying not to share the other stuff, but I always think like, will my ICP actually care if I post that? And again, fitness, a big thing my ICP likes. Like James is big into fitness. He quite likes the idea of coming out to Bali and living the fitness lifestyle. So it's important. And once you have this human being in front of you, like I think this is the biggest breakthrough people making content is once you have this human being in front of you and you just imagine they're the other side of the camera, it just transforms content because it's now, I'm not just throwing shit against the wall. It's like, I am actually targeting a specific human being. And when you start getting messages from that specific human being being like, wow, your content resonates with me, it's amazing. And you'll see that even in an agency space, in a kind of brand thing as well. And I put up a story recently, I just did like a control F4 and I said like resonate. And I looked for all my Instagram messages and there must have been like 30, 40 messages being like, this resonates with me. And that's because I think I prioritize that. Cool. So that's the top of the sphere. But the thing I talk about a lot in my content is this is like the old school way of talking about things. It's like, all right, we're gonna get eyeballs, then we're gonna give them value, and then we're gonna sell to them, and then we're gonna have thousands of pounds and life's gonna be great. The biggest thing with a YouTube video is the first 30 seconds disproportionately affects the rest of the video. So if you watch any of my videos, I go so hard for the first 30 seconds. I'm like, if you watch this video, like you're gonna get this. Like if you don't watch the end of this video, you're gonna struggle to hit your goals, all of this stuff, because I am like, I'm selling the rest of the video because I know that if someone watches 15 minutes of my content, they're gonna be in such a better place to buy from me that again, it's like this process, like I'm just selling them the next step, which is please watch the next step please watch the rest of my video. So I have a YouTube catalog is what I like to think about it. I have a library and my library solves certain purposes. The best thing that I accidentally did is I started making real niche like videos where I was like, I made one about B-roll, like how to make better B-roll for your content. And when I got given a question, someone would come through my Instagram DMs and someone would be like, man, like, I just want, like, I don't know how to make videos. And I'm like, all right, great. Like, here's a video on how to use B-roll. And they watch the whole 15-minute video. It solves a very niche problem. And then they're like, they trust me a lot more. Whereas if you're constantly making like, here's how much money I make in a month. Here's how much money I make in a month. Here's how much, like, the good shape that I'm in. You don't specifically solve someone's problem. And if you solve someone's problem, that's when they trust you a lot more. So that's almost the first type of YouTube videos that I make, which are like niche specific problems. So for example, I made one on like how specifically you can go and get leads from competitors and go and find leads in other places, because I was getting that question over and over again. And then the other one is like, I do make lifestyle content, but I make valuable lifestyle content, because I'll never forget, like, there was a guy who I just looked up what's it like to live in Dubai as a digital nomad. And I looked up this guy, I can't remember what he's called. He's like big in the automation space. I never forget his name. So, pardon? There we go. Liam Otley. And Liam Otley had a humongous video, 350K views, on the pros and cons of living in Dubai as a digital nomad. And I watched that video. But every time someone asked me, like, who should I go to for automations? I'm like, I know this Liam Otley guy. You should go and work with him. And I have no idea what he's about. But that's not because he made lifestyle content. It's because he made valuable lifestyle content, which solved my problem in that. So you can still make content about stuff that isn't your business, but like have people associate you with value. And that was the best thing I did. So I now make those Bali videos. I make like random videos about like, what did I do the other day? Like how to quit your job, all these random videos that just a bit top of funnel, but immediately they're like, Sol is a decently intelligent person who knows what he's talking about, as opposed to like, I'm just hanging out with fit girls the whole time and like, do you want my lifestyle basically? Which I'm not doing. So, which I couldn't do anyway. So.
Quick one. So, like, from the outside that we're talking to then, so say someone's thinking about getting to a point of saying all the most sales, share basically how it's going on offer.
Yeah.
And then you've got the skill set because you've given value on that.
Yeah.
Maybe obviously you're trusting them, so I need the skill set.
So
you made that really.
Yeah, there you go. So this is the thing that I spoke to Ben and Rach about, which is like you in the sales process in that specific niche. I made a big YouTube video about this the other day because again, I had so many sales coaches coming and looking to work with me. I was like, I'm just gonna make a video about sales coaches. And I said, you've got 3 specific types of people who want to go into, was it 3? Yeah, I think you've got 3 specific people to go into. There's corporate workers who want to go into 9 to 5. There's leave the 9 to 5. There's like young people, students, young people who are like, I don't want to ever go into the 9 to 5. I want to be at like university, I want online money. And then there's setters, there's 4. So then there's setters who want to become closers. And then there's closers who just want to get better and make more money. And man, like the difference between those 4 and what the marketing looks like is like the difference between what me and your marketing looks like. It is so different. And just pick one, man. You can make 100K a month off just one of them, right? But if you don't make it clear, then it affects everything. It affects your, like when I was making ads with these guys, I was like, who am I specifically talking to? When I was when I'm doing my service delivery, it's like, should I be telling people, for you, it's like, should you be telling people how to find offers, or should you be telling people like how to handle objections? Because one of them applies to one and one of them applies to the other. And if you don't know this, then I actually think like if I could put my ICP up here, it would be what I do, because it's like, it's so important. And if you don't know the right person, then everything falls apart in this whole system because nothing works. Yeah. Like even like if you put a poll up, you don't know what to make a poll about, because it's like, are you making a poll about someone who's like, I want to quit my job? Or are you making a poll about someone who's like, do you want to live in Bali or South Africa with your remote closing business?
Can I ask you about your thing then? So like you've gone from helping 9 to 5s, right?
Yeah.
And now they're scaling
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Obviously that's different.
Yeah. So I found that when working with 9 to 5ers,
Fucking headache.
it's just, I cannot,
Way up in there.
my setter gets so annoyed with me, I cannot deal with civilians anymore, because and he said this word, I cannot deal with people who there's business owners and there's civilians, and everyone sat in this room right now is a business owner, and you're here because you want to invest in yourself, you're here because you want to, and I cannot deal with people who like don't want to invest in themselves, don't want to like grow, have all these objections. And I was like, all I'm doing is sitting on calls with 9 to 5ers who have such strong pain, but I've got an 8K ticket and they have never spent more than 2K on anything in their life. And that is the hardest thing that if you're a coach, you're going to have to deal with every time, is because it is brutal sitting on phone calls with people who are not used to investing in themselves. And I was like, why don't I just go for people who just want to invest in themselves? And the good thing about our business is as we grow, we can bring on those people beneath us, because you're like, you know, if you're making 2K a month, you can't start being to a coach, okay, you're making 10K a month, I can take you to 20. But pick the people you want to work with. And I was just like, I'm just sick of working with 9-to-5ers. So I've kind of scrapped.
Who's your ICP now then?
My ICP is someone who's making sub 10K, basically someone who's just behind me. So I'm like, I'll get you from 10K to 50K a month. That's what I'll get you to. So I'm like, I will teach you what I have done already. And that's the best way for everyone to go, is like, just teach what you've done. Like, it doesn't matter what niche you're in, even if you're in a service delivery niche, just like, all right, I've done this already in the past. Therefore I can say my maximum thing that I can do for you is my best result that I've done. And I've proved to do that. So I'm going to do that. So that's my niche now.
So with story content then, because this is an interesting one, right? So you talk about, oh, this is how I felt when I was in 9-to-5.
Yeah.
That speaks to the person to the 9-to-5.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how are you shifting your content now so that you still share your valuable content that's resonating with the ideal versus the person who's too far?
So, for example, you would be one of my ideal clients, James. You've been a 9-to-5, but that was a long time ago. But we can still laugh about how shit the 9-to-5 is, right? Like it's still a pain point, and it still gives me a story. Like it still brings a story in. Like
I like that. Just laugh that shit at me.
Yeah. I kind of forget this is getting filmed, but anyway, we can laugh about that, right? And it's like, it's still part of my nature and my story, but I'm also now focusing on talking about, now I'm talking about percentages from DMs as opposed to like, I now live in Bali.
Yeah, of course.
But it's still important because there's still a lot of my ICP who are stuck in the UK and don't have enough money to be able to leave the UK, or don't have the constant lead flow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just comes down to that, right? Like I've just nailed on that. And your ICP will change throughout. Like, I mean, for you guys, right? Like you sometimes do e-com, sometimes do info. Like your ICP will always change because you'll work out who you liked. That's how I set my business up in the first place. Is like, I was just helping people with content. I was helping entrepreneurs. And I was like, fuck, I just love working with business owners, people who actually want to like take this somewhere, as opposed to someone who just wants to be famous while they walk around London. And then I was like, all right, I like working with them. And then I was like, what am I better at solving? I'm better at solving them because I think in a business way. And that's just that like evolved over time. But then there's also big people in my niche who go hard on 9-to-5ers, and that works for them as well. Like one thing I do is like, who do I look forward to jumping on calls with?
Yeah.
Like who do I actually like serving? Even the coaching or business niche. And then I'm like, all right, like if I enjoy jumping on this call with this person, what problems do they have? Okay, like I enjoy jumping on a call with Ben. One of Ben's biggest problems right now we were talking about is like, how does he actually start like churning out YouTube videos that are good for him? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a YouTube video about how to make YouTube videos. But then that's what you think, right? You just think, okay, how can I tailor my whole business around people I enjoy working with? And then what happens is you just build a client base of people you enjoy working with.